Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, first of all, I ain't watched my hoops yet, so we're going to make it quick, right? Now, last 4 or 5 videos have been about Canelo Alvarez, right? I don't really like to talk about him, but hey, it was the week before the fight, Canelo Alvarez fight. Then he lost the fight, and it was stuff to talk about, obviously. Now, it's kind of some Canelo in this one, but we're going to talk about a Negro League fighter, right? Y'all know who I'll be mentioning them. Don't let me run them down for you again, but I'm not. Anyway, some interesting news that I kind of don't like. Now, you got in the super middleweight division, the division where Canelo is undisputed champion, and I'm going to have to do these on there because it's a lineal champion hanging out there that he has to take care of before I would consider him to be undisputed there. Plus, Canelo didn't have to fight for the WBC belt. They just gave it to him with his fight with Callum Smith. I don't like stuff like that, especially when you say, hey, the best fighter in the world and undisputed. Then let him go and fight Benavidez. But anyway, speaking of David Benavidez, right? Dave Benavidez, I don't know what his record is. Let me see. I can look at it. Dave Benavidez is 25-0 with 22 KOs, right? Lineal champion at the super middleweight division. Bad boy, and everybody know it. He's been trying to get Canelo for the last couple of years, and he can't. Even though he was the WBC champion, but they stripped him because he missed weight. And at the beginning of COVID, by the way, which everybody missed weight there, so they shouldn't have stripped him there. Okay, but whatever. So, somebody's called David Benavidez out, and you don't hear that or see that too often. But the dude who did it is the only one that I consider to be on Benavidez's level at the super middleweight division, or probably even a tick better. Well, we will find out. And that would be David Morrell. Cuban brother, 6-0 with 5 knockouts. Hey, don't let that record of only 6 fights. Everybody know this boy is bad. It was kind of like Lomachenko came out or Guillermo Rigondeaux came out and they started getting championship fights pretty early. Lomachenko in the second fight, or whatever, probably even the first fight, second fight, right? So this kind of dude, David Morrell is all that in a bag of chips, and we all know that. And if you don't know it, just Google his name and watch a couple of fights. You'll see it's a little, he's really good, like real good. That Demetrius Andre kind of good. I can embarrass you and beat the hell out of you kind of good, right? It's different. There's levels to being good, right? So I would consider David Morrell kind of great. Now, David Morrell's called out David Benavidez and said, hey, man, I'm hearing that you're supposed to be the boogeyman. You never call my name out. So, after I finish this next fight, he got a fight with a dude called Calvin Henderson, who's also 15-1-1 with 11 KOs. He's going to fight him on June 4th. Now, after that fight, it's on between David Morrell and David Benavidez, the two Davids. Now, actually, normally in a normal world, great fight, two awesome guys, great fight. But when you're talking about the Canelo thing, Canelo has to go back down, right? And wait, because he better not mess with he better not fight Bill again at 175. So if he comes down to 168, there's no easy test for him because actually Benavidez is mandatory for the WBC. David Morrell should be as mandatory for the WBA because David Morrell is the WBA regular champion. So I would say David Morrell should be trying to get your boy John Ryder, who lost to Danny Jacobs, but they gave him the fight, and that he's not going to fight anymore because Canelo will definitely choose him. As if he has a mandatory status, Canelo would choose John Ryder instead of David Morrell, and we all know it, right? So if I was Morrell, I'd be trying to say, hey, WBA, let me, if he's the mandatory and I'm the WBA regular, let's square that away so the winner fights Canelo. I should do that ASAP. So, but the WBA has one hard guy there, and the WBC is going to be the we had WBC, but the WBO going to be probably your boy who's that Demetrius Andre if he fights Zach Parker, and he should be the mandatory without fighting Zach Parker. I would rather that scenario to go down. I don't like when two fighters fight that Canelo won't fight. Right? Because, like Charlo and Andre at 160, people talking about that instead of, wait, one of them got to fight Canelo and another one fights Gennady Golovkin. Let's get a 4-man tournament. The two winners fight each other. No, they like it better with Canelo and Gennady Golovkin. Don't fight either one of these guys. We'll say you're better and we'll just leave these guys. Either they fight or whatever. That's how they would like it. So that's why I'm not into it, because when you've got two fighters that Canelo Alvarez doesn't want to fight, what happens is one would have a loss, which means he ain't fighting him because he has a reason. Oh, he lost already. And the other one, I can only avoid one. It doesn't look as bad as avoiding the 7 fighters that Canelo won't fight, right? And we know which ones they are. There's Jamal, Charlo. It might be 8 if you put Jamel in there. Let's go and put Jamel in there. Jamel and Jamal, that's 2. Demetrius Andrade, David Benavidez, David Morrell, that's 5. Benavidez and Bivol and Gilberto Ramirez. That's about 8 fighters we know he ain't fighting, right? He might fight Bivol again, so go back down to 7. Bottom line is, that's why I don't really like these fights, because, you know, Canelo, when he doesn't want to fight somebody, people don't care about the weight division. If it's somebody at 175 and somebody at 160 and Canelo doesn't want to fight them, people tell those 2 people to fight. When Canelo's doing the jumping, one's at 160, we got 2 fighters at 160 that Canelo won't fight, and that's the Charlo brothers, right? Because the 154 after Jamel's going up. Then at 168, you know, it's all 3 of them. Demetrius Andrade, who ain't been up there yet, he's still 160 now, but his next fight's going to be 168. David Benavidez and David Morrell. And then the 175, we know what time it is with Benavidez and Gilberto Ramirez. So that's why I don't like to see them fight. But, okay. Your boy David Morrell is really calling him out and said, listen, I'll give him a beat down that he will never forget, right? So David Morrell's ready for this fight. You know, I kind of, if it happens, it should be after Canelo makes a decision to fight whoever he's going to fight. After that, then whatever. But I think one of them could probably secure the Canelo fight. It might be a little bit different right now because people are tired of what's going on with Canelo, and once the mainstream media starts, they're getting off of that, their narrative that they've been on, then there's a possibility that people will force Canelo to fight a hard fight in his next fight. And so, you know, if he doesn't fight Bivol, then these guys are in the running. After that, then you guys can hook up or whatever, because you got to imagine, like I just said, David Morrell is WBA and David Benavidez is WBC. And there's no reason to fight until Canelo says what he gonna do, because he got all the belts, really. Then after that, if Canelo don't take neither one of them and does something else or relinquish the belts, then it's all open season. Y'all feeling that? Doma Sports Talk Worldwide. And I'm up out of here, y'all.